guys, is the SR-71 Blackbird, one of my favourite planes. If you were to fly this Blackbird, you could get from LA to Washington in 1 hour. The curvature of the Blackbird. There is the tip of her, so where the pilot sits. So this guy here is known as the Warthog, and then we're going to decommission them. But basically what it is a flying gun. So there's ammunition here. That goes into this. Sits underneath here, underneath the pilot. And in 1 minute, that amount of ammunition is fired from that massive 30mm rotary cannon. So it's around about 4,200 rounds per minute. And it was used to destroy Iraqi tanks. Whenever the soldiers were in the ship, they would call on one of these. I'm just walking under it now. And these Warthogs would provide them with a lot of ground cover. It was called the Warthog because of all the little bumps on it. It has a lot of attachment points. So it's not good for aerodynamics as such. They're not graceful flyers like the Blackbird, but they definitely do pack a severe punch. Plane depicted in Top Gun. This is the Huey. He flew in Vietnam, got a little bit of history. You see all these patches? But there's a patch, 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 patch. And down the tail here. Patch there and there are all bullet holes up the top here. The repairs from bullet holes. One of the guys here was saying that these choppers would get so loaded with men that they couldn't get them off the ground. So what they'll do is they'll call in air support to fire a mortar underneath the chopper so they could get compression to lift off. I'm inside the World War II hangar. This guy here is a bombardier, and he looks down from the sky down to the ground to drop bombs. This is the B5 drift meter. There's a city down below there. You mark off your points, allow for drifting. This guy here is up in the turret, pilot's up in that top part. Inside the plane is the bombs, and they would be all lined up and they'll just drop down like a magazine, I suppose. Yeah. Yeah.
First place to be, because a lot of the fighter planes would attack you from underneath and shoot up in here.
Quite often he'll get shot to bits. Not much space. Oh my goodness. I'm in between the guy's legs. We've got two guys on either side of the plane firing. What type of gun is that? Weapon is
50
that?
caliber.
Again, see the patches? This bird seen some action. In the end it became just a numbers game because they had so many planes. They were able to bomb Germany into submission. Every time you flew out in a mission, one of those, you had a 1 in 4 chance of dying.
Wherever you think's the best picture. Okay, thank you.
That gentleman you just saw, his name is Sheldon. He's 91 years old and he flew over 125 missions against the Japanese back in the Second World War, and there's not many of him around. Sheldon sat up there. And back in those days they didn't have GPS. A lot of the planes didn't get shot down, they just went missing. They got lost. They'd fly 7-hour missions to get to a particular spot to bomb, and then they needed more fuel to fly back, so another 7 hours. The constant threat was running out of fuel. A lot of the planes did run out of fuel and crashed into the Pacific Ocean. Of course there's no rescue because it wasn't monitored, so they would be lost out at sea. This guy's the Hawker Hurricane, and if you look closely, that's how many Germans he shot down, just underneath the pilot window. These are the German V1s, the first ever guided missile. They're essentially drones. This model of plane is not the Enola Gay, but it's the model of plane that dropped the atomic bomb. One of the two bays inside the plane that would have carried the atomic bomb. So this plane is the Memphis Belle film, and this is inside that plane. It's his job, quite a lonely job at the tail, gunner on the side, turret, and this was the riskiest job. You were assigned jobs, so you couldn't pick and choose what you wanted. This guy would sit in that position, with his knees up to his chest for a good 5 to 10 hours straight. and often the oxygen would freeze and get stuck to their face and their mask. And these weren't pressurised. They experienced like -50 inside the plane, and then a gunner up the top here in that turret. Pilot, navigation. I think this guy here looked out for targets. Oh, there's the bombs. Those are the bombs. Those canisters there are oxygen canisters that they would attach to their masks if their oxygen tubes froze up. Yeah, it wasn't a glamour job, that's for sure. And 1 in 3, those were the odds. So this is the largest private collection of aeroplanes here in Tucson, Arizona. This is only what I can see now. There's so much more. It's the MiG. Hawker Harrier vertical takeoff plane or jump plane. These are rocket planes used for testing the sound barrier, test pilots. Okay, so I've launched missiles today. I landed on the moon. I got 17 out of 20.